Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Today I have Annie here. As she sent you guys an intro video, and it's true, we haven't met in person yet, but we met online via a group that we are now in touch, and it's been so nice. I feel like I know her for such a long time because we have like lots of similarities, the way we are. We are mothers, we've traveled a lot, we love cultures, and that's why I invited her to be part of this. And she said yes right away. So I said, oh, I'm so glad. And then I booked her for June right away. So, anyways, Annie, please give us a little introduction again, and then we're going to start with the questions. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, and thank you for the introduction, Simone. So, hi everyone, and nice to meet you all. I'm Annie, as you might have seen in the introduction video. I'm Armenian, but I grew up in the Netherlands, and actually, to make it even more complicated, considering the current world situation we're at, my family actually comes from Iran. So, both my parents were born in Iran, so I'm considered in some ways Armenian from Iran. However, I was only born in Armenia, raised in the Netherlands, and then at some point in my life, when I was an adult, I started traveling. I met my husband, and we started living in different countries. So moved a lot. Moved to I met my husband in Belgium. That's where I had moved for the first time, actually. Literally the backyard of the Netherlands. That's how we call Belgium for the Dutchies. And then, we moved to Barcelona, we moved to London, Switzerland, and now we're back in the Netherlands for the time being. And trying to figure out whether this is the place where we want to stay or whether we want to move to another country. Um, I got three kids, actually, three below four. So I have twins at the age of three, and I have my oldest who's four. I work in sales, which is great because that means I can work a lot at home as well and be a bit more flexible with my time. I don't know. That's actually a bit more elaborated version than the introduction video that I sent, but I'm happy to hear any questions you have, and I would say just shoot the questions.
All right. Danielle is already ready with the question. Please go ahead.
Yes, I was wondering when I saw your video first. Nice to meet you, Andy. I'm very interested in your history because you lived in so many places, so it's a lot to tell, I think. How many languages do you speak?
So I speak fluently three languages, which is Dutch, that's where I grew up, English, and then as third I put Armenian. Although I'm fluent in Armenian, with speaking I'm okay. It's not at a business level, to put it like that. And I can't read or write in Armenian. Well, I can read, but it's more like how you say it, like a 5, 6 year old that is learning to read. I have to take my time to read the Armenian texts. But yeah, three languages, you could say.
Nice, nice. Well, I will give the others a chance to ask questions, and I have a few more
More
questions.
questions.
Yeah. Thank you very
Sure.
much.
Thank you.
Just to elaborate on that before we go to Jenna, Annie, like when it comes to, you said your parents were both Iranians, right? But you were
Well,
born.
ethnically, my parents are Armenians, so are my grandparents. So they're
Okay.
all Armenians. But my family was born in Iran. Like both my parents were
Yes.
born in Iran. So my mom speaks Iranian, not that good anymore because we have not really used the language, neither at home. So that's why I also don't really know it. And then my dad used to be very good because even when we used to live in Armenia, he was a bus driver. So he would, once the roads, and now we were going very deep, but when before you had the curtain, basically you had the Soviet Armenia and you had Iran, and then once the Iron Curtain in a way opened up or lightened up, there was a tourist route that opened up between Armenia and Iran. So my dad used to go back and forth, And this is how my dad never really forgot the Iranian at the level as my mom was, because my mom was younger when her family basically moved to Armenia.
Oh, I see. But the languages, are they very different or they're similar? Let's say
No.
Portuguese and Spanish, similar.
No,
completely
very
different.
different. Very, very different. Yeah, because you have Iranian is Farsi, that's the language it's called, and then you have Armenian, which is part of the Indo-European branch, you could say, but it's not similar to anything else either because it hangs as a sole only language under, one single branch under the Indo-European language thing. So there is no other country that has the same language. What is interesting, maybe more from a background perspective, is if you look at the Ethiopian alphabet and you look at the Armenian alphabet, there is similarities with the way that things are written. Now, I have never done a deep research in terms of, hey, are there words that are different? But if you look at the written text, which is also quite different, that's why it's a completely separate branch. There is some similarities with the Ethiopian alphabet, or at least, yeah. And there is, I don't know, like for sure, but there is some sayings that the inventor of the Armenian alphabet, Mesrop Mashtots, basically had some part somehow in the alphabet of the Ethiopian language. But again, that's an assumption. So don't take my word for that one unless you do your due diligence. I've never done the deep research on that.
All right. Just to make sure you guys understand, it's no ABC, yeah? In Armenian, it's another alphabet, all right?
Yeah, we have Abagad.
All right. Okay,
Yeah.
amazing.
Let me just
37
ask
letters as well.
just a follow-up question because you said you speak Dutch and another like English, yes, and Armenian. Dutch
Yeah.
and English, I imagine you use daily. But what about
Exactly.
Armenian? Do you communicate with your family in Armenian?
Yeah, so with my family, I communicate in Armenian, and with my, well, because I have kids and I want to give the Armenian culture and the language as well. I have in the beginning, I used to, sorry, I got a call. In the beginning, I used to speak more Armenian with the kids as well, but nowadays I focus more on the Dutch because for the kids, growing up with three languages is great, but they need a bit more consistency. So I started speaking more Dutch with the kids as well, my husband English, and then my family, I basically told them, don't speak Dutch, speak Armenian with them, and the kids understand it as well. So this is how I use it in general, or when I'm, with Armenian friends or something like that. That's when my Armenian side comes. But at the same time, it's a funny thing because I will use, let's say, because I mix a lot. It's an automatic button that switches off like without any effort. I will use a Armenian sentence with Dutch words, and then use an Armenian sentence with, or the other way around, a Dutch sentence with a lot of Armenian words because you don't have certain words or certain expressions. So I mix a lot with the two languages as well. Yeah.
Yes, okay. I think we tackled that. Let's see what Jenna has to say. Hey.
Hey, so you grow up in the Netherlands. So what's the biggest difference between the Netherlands culture and Armenian culture, what you could say?
Oh, so much. So many things. I mean, when you look really at the Armenian culture, it's very family oriented. And when I say family oriented, where in the Netherlands, it's usually, a husband, wife, kids, kind of.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have the grandparents. In the Armenian culture, you deal with the whole family, with aunts, uncles, cousins, etc. And which is in some ways it's a fun thing because you can really expect a lot from your family as well, like from the communication side, from, hey, I need something, can you help me, etc. But also like non-family members, like, you know, you can just drop by someone's house, like, hey guys, I would just wanted to check if you're home for a coffee. Are you home for a coffee? Like, you don't have to call to make an appointment to go and stop by someone's house, right? While in the Netherlands, if you really look at that, you can't just go to the neighbor house and say, hey guys, I want to come and have a coffee with you guys. I'm just dropping by because I was in the, you can't do that. You need to make an appointment, or you need to in advance let them know, hey, is it okay that I stop by or something like that, and make sure that they have time. I mean, other things, I mean, the food for sure, like food is completely different. I would say nothing to the Dutchies, but the Dutchies don't have a food culture. There is no Dutch identity around food like the French, the Spanish, the Armenians, you know, the Persian kitchen or something like that. And a lot of other things as well, where in Armenia, I mean, if you look at arranging stuff, it's more chaotic. If you look at the Netherlands, it's more structured, right? So there is a lot of like differences between the both. Yeah.
Yes, I understand. I have to plan if I want to visit my parents, and they live like 500 meters from me. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And no way that would happen like in Armenia, or like if the grandparents just want to stop by, they can just stop by and, you know, see their grandkids.
But actually more Armenian inside, because I don't like to do it. I just like to drop by, and it's like you cannot do that.
Yeah, exactly. If I would tell my mom you need to make an appointment to stop by, she would be like, are you crazy? That's how my mom would respond, like, or any other mom, grandma, you know, family member. They would be like, is something okay in your brain? Like, make an appointment.
I actually don't know how my family looks almost, because the last time I see the most of them is like 4 years ago.
Wow, that's crazy.
They live all in the neighborhood, so
Wow.
they never invite you for anything. That's just like you say, the kids and then the direct parents, like the but the cousins and those things almost never get invited, or it's just like brothers, sisters maybe, and I don't have any brothers or sisters, so I'm like, I don't also like the black strange.
Which is a crazy thing for me, because like if I look at my family, for instance, I have an aunt. My aunt has a daughter who's actually my cousin, who's a bit older, because, you know, the ages are slightly different. I mean, you know, especially back in the days, women used to get married very young. They had kids. Like, a funny thing is, my mom has a cousin who's literally her age, to put it like that. You know, you could say in essence they grew up together. But I'm closer, for instance, with my cousin's daughter, who's my aunt's granddaughter, than I am to my actual cousin, in a way, because from an age part we're more similar. And if I organize something, as like you're saying, if I organize an event and I don't invite them, I will have a problem with the family. Everybody will like, why did she not invite me? What is her problem? Like, yeah, you get this noisiness as well from the family. It's like something wrong. Like, do you have a fight or something like
so
it's
like,
a funny concept to think about.
Yeah, so like for me, it's like I'm have my birthday next month, and in April I invited family and all those fun. On this date, I want to go out eat for dinner for my family for my birthday, and they are like, "Oh, I have to look if it's possible." Like 3 months in front. No, you don't have anything to do in 3 months in front. Never. But we have to look if it's. Sorry, but it's like.
Exactly.
I like the
in
family.
Armenia, it's the opposite.
Yeah, I like the family culture, because my ex-wife was Moroccan, and they also have a very close family culture, and everything that's totally different than this boring Belgium Dutch culture about that.
That is so true, guys, because in Brazil, like I see many people nodding. It's true. In Brazil, it's pretty much the same as Morocco, Armenia, all these African countries like Angola, South Africa, I'm assuming. We are very family orientated, so we help each other, we always see each other, no appointments. Okay, thank you, Jenna. Let's see what Eric has to say.
Hello. How would you describe Armenia in a few words, like in a sentence? How would you do that?
Oh, that's a tough one. I've never thought about that.
Yes, it's just tough questions.
You put her on the spot.
Yeah, like really, that's a question I'm getting for the first time ever. I would say Armenia is an extremely hospitable. Well, I cannot.
Hospitality.
No, welcoming. Let's use welcoming.
Yeah,
because otherwise I'm gonna go-
welcome.
extremely welcoming country, super safe. Like I think if I would think about having my kids, and I'm elaborating a bit more than having one sentence, so sorry for that. Having my kids playing outside the door safely, that would definitely be Armenia, like without me having to watch them, because there is completely different culture from that perspective. Beautiful for hiking, very beautiful from a cultural perspective. Although if you go to Armenia, if you go to even Yerevan, which is 53 years older than Rome, you will not find the old, how you say it, the old downtown city center, right? You will not find a Colosseum, obviously, but anything that is really old, because as a country, it's been always invaded. I mean, Armenia just really recently, actually, after the 90s, after the separation of the Soviet Union, became an independent country. And before that, it was always part or the Russian Empire or the Ottoman Empire or the Persian Empire, or it was invaded by the Mongols as a way. You know, it was always somewhere in between that. So a lot has been destroyed, but one thing you will always find, and I think this is maybe from the culture that Armenian have, from the religious perspective, is that you will always find extremely old churches in different parts of Armenia, in extremely, I don't know, like mountainous areas sometimes, where you ask yourself, like, how could people build a church over here at that size? And one thing I've learned during one of my trips back to Armenia was that if you know the Chinese wall, like if the Mongols were attacking China, as an example, the wall was also, besides a protection wall, it also was a way to inform other parts or the cities or the villages that they were being attacked. And apparently the Armenian churches, the way that they're built, at the locations that they're built, had also a similar type of besides the religious aspect, they had also a protective aspect, in the sense of, if you would put on a fire close to the church, another church would see it, and then another. Oh, I'm getting a call again. Sorry for that. So you could basically send out warning signals like that all the way to the capital, to put it, to put it short. So there is like, I don't know how to put it in one word. Like, you have to see it, experience it. It's beautiful, with great, I don't know, great nature. You have all seasons, but you have also, like, you can go from, drier lands, not you don't have any deserts there, but a bit more drier grounds where you can grow grape vines, all the way to very foresty areas. It's just beautiful. Like, if I would, in one word, I would say it's one of the most beautiful countries in the world, for sure.
So it's got a united population, a very traditional culture, and varied landscape, I guess.
It's not, well, it's not very international, if you would put it that way. I mean, it's more recent days, but
no, I mean traditional. Like they keep to their own traditions, unlike say
Yes.
Belgium, for instance.
Yes.
The
100%.
Belgium's like very international. Armenia would be the opposite.
Yes. Very nationalistic as well. Very proud of their country.
Oh yeah, I know. Our Armenians are very proud to be Armenian everywhere.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's that. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. All right, João.
Hi, Annie again.
Hey.
Good. You said you work in sale, right? Just confirm,
Yeah.
please. Yeah, good.
Correct.
Yeah, but working in sale, it seems to be kind of challenging. Tell us, how is it like when you want to close a deal and you cannot make it? What is the sensation?
Obviously, sales is indeed a very challenging job because you work very hard towards getting a deal in, and sometimes you're competing with other companies as well. And um, from a sales perspective, you get your commission as well. You close the deal, you get your commission. So it is at times very, very disappointing, obviously. And I think depending on from a work perspective, how much more you have in your pipeline, because in all honesty, only 1 in 4 deals really come in. If you have, as an example, if you have 8 deals, you cannot expect all 8 deals to come in, but there should be at least 2 deals coming in that should help you to move forward. And I think that also depends a bit from this disappointment comes also like whether or not it's a 100K plus deal or whether it's a 20-30K deal, right? Because that makes a difference. So obviously the 100K deal one will be way more disappointing, and I would be way more upset. But and I think this is a thing that you learn in sales as well. Like you cannot stay too long at one place and be extremely upset. You have to go on, you have to find new opportunities, and as long as your pipeline keeps coming, building up, you should be okay. But then you need a proper engine that needs to work as well on the background. So it's not just you as a salesperson has to be successful. It's also making sure that the sales engine behind you that is helping you to make successful is also running properly. So yeah, I don't know how else to put it. Like I have had deals that have slipped. I have had tough negotiations where I thought this customer is gonna walk away. I have had lost deals, but you move on. That's what you learn. You learn to just move ahead, look ahead.
Sure.
It's like in life, right? You get disappointments. Not everything is always going the way that you want, the way that you expect, but life still goes on. So you cannot focus on that for too long. You need to keep going because otherwise you're stopping life in a way.
And another question is like, let's imagine I work in finance and now I want to shift into sales, but I'm not really good at dealing with the people. So where exactly I have to work on my profile to be a better fit in a profile position, in the selling position?
I would say my comment is always, it does not matter in which sector or industry you're working for. If you're interested in sales, or if you have the main capabilities from a sales perspective, anybody can do sales. And it's not about, I don't have knowledge about the product, because for me, I have worked in different industries. I have worked in the human resources industry. I have worked in the IT industry as well. But if I would have to move to another industry, it's not necessarily the product itself from a very specific territory that defines how good or successful you are. Obviously, if you're more focused on one niche, to put it like that, you have more knowledge about that specific industry, specific way of working, to put it like that. But from a salesperson, I think the biggest thing I would say that helps is from being successful customer relationship, human to human connection, not just being there from a sales perspective. Because people feel whether you're just there to make the deal or you're there to also try to make a connection. And you have a lot of people in sales that are often, how do I put it? They come, they close the deal, and they're gone. And then they're back again when a customer needs to renew something. But then you're really doing it, hit and run. That's how we call it, right? You hit and you run, in essence, but you don't build on the relationship. And if you start building on that relationship, you can even do way more sales, because it's not just the selling of the product initially, it's also making sure that it lands within the organization and that the product has a value for that organization as well, which oftentimes is forgotten from a sales perspective, because that's not how sales thinks. Sales thinks, I need to hit my target, I'm not going to do customer relationship. But a large part of it is customer relationship. And if you can make sure that any product is a means to reach a certain goal, if you can help that organization to completely benefit that means for their organization, you're going to do way more sales with that business. If they have done their first landing deal at 50K, next time they might do a deal of 150K, which is more beneficial, but it does take time and effort as well. So you need to also be patient. You can't just go and push your way through ask questions, ask a lot of questions, because there's oftentimes a lot of things that we don't understand, from their organization perspective, from the budgeting perspective, from who's the sponsor in the organization. Like if they want to buy a product, who's actually giving the assignment and why? And I think these are some really big, important questions that is oftentimes forgotten.
Very good. So it means there is no magic stick.
There is really no magic. I wish there was, because then every salesperson would be successful, but there is no magic stick.
No,
It's sometimes you might fail or be successful just because someone has a good connection with you.
Thank you.
It's as simple as that.
Good. Amazing.
Wow.
Thank you.
It was, I think you should write down, Joan, because that was a great, great explanation. Lots of tips. Thank you.
Sure.
Write
Sure.
it down. Don't forget that. Customer relations very important. I'm also in sales, I can tell, and I can confirm that one. All right,
Yeah,
guys, thank you. Gladwin, please. Are you still there?
No, I'm here. Can you?
All right.
I'm here. I just switched my camera off. I wanted to ask, I'm Gladwin, I'm from South Africa. I wanted to ask have you perhaps considered a career as a public speaker? As we are engaging with you, I am observing, how you articulate yourself, your breathing technique, your tempo, the impact of your statements, your pause. Then I said, I think, you can, in my own view, have a bright future as a public speaker.
Oh, thank you so much, Gladwin. That's a massive, massive compliment for me. Like, thanks so much. No, I have never thought about being a public speaker. I know for myself, I've never had a hard time to speak in public. There have been events from a work perspective where I had to speak for a big audience, where I stood and I had to pitch my product, to put it like that. I've never had a difficult time from that perspective, but I have never thought beyond, making a career, put it like that, making a career out of becoming a public speaker, because I think the way that I think is, oftentimes, if you want to become a public speaker, you need to have something to say. It's not that I don't think I don't have something to say. I'm not at the level where I think I make a big impact as a public speaker, because I'm just a regular person like any of you, right? And just love to do what I do. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gladwin, for giving her such a nice compliment. All right, Lais.
Yeah, first I have to agree. Yes, you speak very well, very articulated. Yes. And
Thank
then
you.
I have two questions. First, when you talked about family, you said you are very family oriented, like Brazil. But then I have a curiosity. I don't know if it's similar to, I know in places like India, they live together, like the whole family, everyone in a big house. Do you have the same culture or not?
Yes, so I would say in Armenia there is definitely a lot of families that do live together, and the main reason for that being is for a large part the economical aspect of it, because the incomes are not that high. Most of the population is not highly educated, so they're not able to separate themselves from the family. Or if they do, then one family member stays, usually, if I'm not mistaken, the younger one stays usually with the parents, and the older one leaves the house. That's how somehow it works. The younger generation these days, I would say, and maybe that comes also a bit with modernization, is splitting away from that. They all want to, in my opinion, it's also good. Like, it's not a bad thing to be with your family, but I think it's so much better that, especially if you're a newly formed family, that you're able to build your own without the influence of family, because
Yes.
we all know how families sometimes can be, right? I myself, because of the conditions that we were in, have my mom living with me for the past 4 years, which has been a great help, because I literally had, well, me and my husband, I should say, we had 3 kids in 1 year. So we had our newborn that was like 5 months old, something like that, when we found out that we were pregnant, and then it turned out to be twins. And I was like, I was not at some point able even to play with my kids because I was huge, So then we asked my mom if she would be okay to come, and obviously my mom is, from our cultures, like, I will drop everything and I will come to you guys and I will help. And so she has been the last 4 years, but she's leaving soon, and we're gonna get an au pair. But so we do have it in some aspects, and I think the biggest aspect is the biggest, most important aspect is as long as you have family living with you, or the other way around, and they don't involve in your day-to-day, they don't try to be noisy in your
There
relationship or
are
whatever. I think it's
sound
really,
making problem, probably from
yeah,
Ishram,
Ishram,
from
yeah.
African.
Ishram, maybe you can mute yourself.
Please mute yourself. It's his first time, guys. So sorry about that. He's still learning. He's very excited to be here, but is still getting some.
I don't know, Simone, if you can mute him.
I don't think I can. Let me see here.
Okay. Let me just take the opportunity to ask the second question. As you can see, I'm a little hungry.
Enjoy.
Yes. You said that you have a very traditional culinary. You mentioned you have some Armenian dishes. I would like to know a little bit more about it, like a typical dish. What do you have?
Yeah, sure. So one thing that's very famous, but it's also famous in Greece, you could say. It's also famous in Turkey. It's what we call dolma, but there is different variations, obviously, and it's clear that these cultures at some point have intertwined and they have taken from it. Ours is quite different than the Turkish one. The Turkish one is called sarma, if I'm not mistaken. And there is the Greek one. The Greek one is more oily, and then you have the Armenian one, which is way more meaty. And usually, the Armenian one is made with, half pork, half beef, minced beef. We have. Oh, I can tell you about a very, very, very traditional one that most of you might be like, "What the hell, Annie?" But there is something that we call a khash. And khash in general, you eat only in the cold winter. You don't eat them in the summertime. And you cook, I think it's beef. Yeah, you cook the legs of cows the day before for the whole day. And you can imagine it has also like a lot of bone marrow. It has a lot of fat. You cook it, it becomes like this, I don't know, like bone soup, you could say, a bone broth kind of a thing. And then you eat it the next day, early morning, between 9 and 11 latest, with vodka, with a lot of garlic. It's super, super healthy, but like, either you like it or you hate it. There's a lot of people in Armenia that don't like it. There's a lot that hate it. You will smell, and once you eat it, you finish eating it, you become so sleepy. Like, it's like the rest of the day you don't want to do anything. So this is one of the main reasons people eat it in the winter time and on a weekend, so you don't eat it. That's a very, very famous one.
Is it cooked with something? Like you just
No.
put just
It's only,
it? Okay.
only really the legs, and then basically
Wow.
the bones. And you cook from the day before, like more than 12 to 24 hours. A very long time cooking process, the cleaning process as well, but the cooking process is even longer. I don't know, I like it, but I can usually eat only one, maximum 2 bowls. Other people can eat it even the next day, like, have a leftover, and I hate that. Like, I eat it at that moment, and then I need to, it's done.
Yeah.
I don't want to smell it the next day, because I don't know, it has a very strong not an not nice smell, but it has a strong. What do we have? We have yogurt soups. We have something from the region of Artsakh, which is also known as Nagorno-Karabakh. You might have heard about the war with Azerbaijan and Armenia, where we had the ethnic cleansing. So Nagorno-Karabakh is, ethnically Armenian, but it was an enclave within old Soviet Azerbaijan, you could say, which are obviously fight between two nations. Recently we had one. Unfortunately, we lost the war and we lost the land. And so a lot of people came back to Armenia. But that aside, they have something, it's called Jingal of Huts. Huts means bread. And inside you have a lot of different herbs. I think it's 19 on top of my head, different herbs. And some of these herbs are very specific to the Nagorno-Karabakh region. And basically what you do is you cut the different herbs, you mix them together, and then you put them in a bread dough and you fry them on both sides. It's super, super delicious, like really healthy as well. I mean, there's so much, like we cook a lot of mixed food as well in our house. So I sometimes mix it up with the Iranian ones, but there is a lot.
Okay. No, it's good to know, and it's very different from here. So very interesting. Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome.
I think it's very clear for us all that Annie doesn't eat any Dutch food, even if she lives in the Netherlands. But Annie, I was going to ask you, would you be able to send us a little message on the group with everything that you mentioned? Because I'm not able to share the screen, so we could see the picture. So
yeah, we can do that, definitely. I'll send it in the chat. I'll send
okay, thank you so much. So we can do that. We can check it out later. All right, Daniel is back with another question.
Yeah, I would ask, in fact, how was for your children changing countries, but I think you didn't move after having them.
No, so we moved, last time we moved was last year. So the kids were at that time 3.5, the oldest one, and 2.5, the youngest ones. But because we had been traveling a lot back and forth, and the kids were not going to school or daycare, it was very easy. Now we have the oldest one that has started school, because he's 4. In the Netherlands, you can start school at the age of 4. And the twins are 3.5 now. So I wonder how it will be. But one of the things that we do notice is the kids need some stability as well.
Yeah.
And for them, when we were in Switzerland, we had made the decision to not to put the kids in daycare because daycare in Switzerland is extremely expensive. So that was a conscious decision on our end. But then when we moved here, we had the hard time of, especially with the oldest one, to go to school because he was not used to formal education, to put it like that. And I think the language might have been a bit more of the biggest barrier, where in Switzerland, the main languages were Armenian and English. In the Netherlands, it all of a sudden became English, Dutch, and then Armenian as a third. So it became a lot for them. But yeah, we have not really had a difficult time with them, and they've been also always great with traveling. So yeah.
Yeah. And do you plan to settle in the Netherlands for good, or do you plan to come back to Armenia? Something like that.
No, we're definitely not gonna go to Armenia. That would mean a career death for both my husband and myself. I mean, we love to go there, we love to be there and spend long periods of times there. Like, you know, when we make the effort to go to Armenia, where I also have family, is, you know, to be there at least for a month. Same for Canada, because my husband is Canadian. I don't know, to be honest. Like, we are really thinking about 3 countries right now. We're thinking about Netherlands, about Belgium, and about Canada. Previously, we had America in the mix, but we kind of wiped America now out of the list, especially with Trump.
Yeah.
Where we are like, yeah, maybe it's not the best country to raise kids, but then Canada is. But then you're further away from my family. You're closer in a way to my husband's family, but not. And the other option is Belgium, just because, yeah, the housing market in the Netherlands is quite, how do I call it, quite full. And you don't get much for the money that you pay. So then we are now considering, well, then you might as well as move to the backyard, which is Belgium, where education, healthcare, many different aspects are equally good. I would say maybe in some ways more family friendly than the Netherlands. But yeah, so we really need to think about that. So we're taking the next 2 years the time to think about what we really want, because we definitely need a bigger place than where we are at right now.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Annie, you know, always welcome in Belgium.
Yes.
Is gonna like it as well. So this part of Belgium, Limburg. Okay, João is back. Hey, João. I'm curious about his question. Is it going to be business orientated or what? All right, João.
Great. Now let's talk about to be a polyglot, like in a corporate environment while in a meeting, and you want to speak in English, but suddenly you ended up speaking another language. How is it like? Tell us.
So how do you mean? Sorry, I didn't get the question fully.
It's like you in a meeting,
Yeah.
As you know, in a corporate environment, the official language is English. Is that right?
Depends.
Okay. Like in your environment.
Sorry, João. Annie, what he means, it happens to all of us who speak more than one language. Sometimes we speak in English and a word comes out in Portuguese, or all of a sudden I say something Dutch, and it's very embarrassing sometimes, but we cannot control it. Sometimes just come out. It's not that you're gonna go for a whole sentence, you're gonna change the language like that.
Yeah.
There, you get a word that is not right. That's what
okay, I got it. I have that situation sometimes, because if I'm looking at myself, right, I grew up in the Netherlands, so and I speak 3 languages, Armenian, English, and Dutch. My main language, the language that I'm thinking, because that's the language that I'm most used to, is Dutch. It's not Armenian, it's not English, it's Dutch. When I speak English, yes, my English is fluent enough, but I sometimes still think in Dutch. Or then there is a vocabulary, a word that I know in Dutch, and I want to use the Dutch word, but I don't know it in English, or I mix up the words. There has been many times that I have used a Dutch word, literally translated it to English, just with the pronunciation. And my husband has looked at me like out of the corporate setting, like, what are you saying? I'm like, yeah, you know. He's like, no, I don't understand. Where I tried to explain him, and then he gave me the proper English word. He's like, that's what it means. Like, okay, sorry. And this obviously happens as well in the corporate world. But you know, the thing is, there is no, unless if you are born and grew up in an English speaking country, in the UK, in the US, in Canada, or Australia for that matter, you know, there is no way that anybody can expect of you that you know all the words, all the vocabulary. I think it's more important that you put the effort, that if you don't know the word, that you explain it, like, what is this called? And it can happen to anyone. It has happened to me as well, and that's fine. It's not embarrassing. We're all adults at the end of the day, and there is nobody that has ever laughed at me like, oh, ha ha ha, you didn't know this word, because it can happen, you know. It's and if I look at the organizations that I have worked in, you know, I've worked with French people, I work with Spanish people, I work with some Brazilians, actually, even, you know, that it's quite international. Sometimes these people also don't know the words, or they pronounce things differently. You're not going to go and laugh at them, because that's not the essence of the thing. It's more about their knowledge and the way that you collaborate and work with each other.
Good. Good. Thank you.
It was a great question, though. João, very good, very good. All right, Rodrigo Berni. Let's see what he has to say. Hey.
Okay. Nice to meet you, Annie.
Nice meeting you too.
I live in Amazon, the region here in Brazil, the forest, you know.
Beautiful.
And there are a lot of expressions correlate with wildlife, you know, from indigenous. And one expression that we use after eat strong and have food is correlated with snake. You know, the biggest snake need after eat something needs a time to process the food called the other animal, you know.
Yeah.
And this time we correlate with I need time like a snake, and it use the name of the snake in this case. I'm snaking, you know.
Yeah.
And I want to know if there are a kind of expression for this time after eat this strong food that you told before. Expression
Good
not
question.
correlate with wildlife, but expression for this time, because it's traditional food.
That's a great question.
Are there?
To my knowledge, that's to my knowledge, and again, I don't know, maybe that's just because I have not lived inside Armenia. There isn't. We have many expressions, we have many ways of expressing ourselves. Like, a funny thing I can say, like, you know, if you want to say I love you so much, or basically your child, your grandchild, you can say let me die on your body. That's a way of expressing, not specific. Like, to my knowledge, there is non-specific for food, but we have a lot of different expressions. Or let me eat your liver, which means I love you very much. Like, I don't know, we sound like cannibals sometimes. But what else do we have? Let me die on your beautiful eyes, as an example. It's all like, it sounds very harsh if I say it in English, but in Armenian, it's like the most beautiful thing, the nicest things that you can do. But it's correlated to, well, I don't want to say food, it's not food, but to organs in a way. So yeah, I for the khashtish, like, no, I don't think there is some, like, But maybe it's just me and my lack of knowledge. That could also be.
Okay.
Oh, that was a really nice question, actually. I didn't expect that from you. I was thinking, oh, he's gonna go like business-wise because he loves to ask questions about biodiversity, and I thought he was gonna do something like that, asking about the Netherlands or Armenia, because he's a biologist, right?
Ah.
I'm agronomist. My wife is biologist.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
All right, so I don't see any hands raised. I'm gonna go ahead and ask you a question, Amy. Can you please tell us about being married to someone from a different culture? Like you have a mixed marriage, mixed culture. How is it for you guys, and also how you're bringing this to the children's life at the moment?
Yeah, great question. So I think when you fall in love with someone, when you get married with someone, you don't fall in love with their culture. You fall in love with them, the personality, and understanding whether or not you would be able to live together and build a life together. Those are the first things. Obviously, we have had cultural differences as well, because although I'm quite Dutchy Armenian, I'm still quite Armenian in some ways. And my husband, who comes from Newfoundland, Canada, so it's an island on the eastern coast. That's the first Canadian land that you will see. Has also like very typical traditions specific to Newfoundland. So it has nothing to do with Newfoundland with the rest of Canada at all, because Newfoundland only became part of Canada in 1953. And before that, it was its own country as well. And I think the thing is, we both have very beautiful cultural traditions. Whether it's the holiday season with Christmas, whether it's with Easter, which is for us. So put it like this: for us Armenians, we have Easter, which is big. We have the 6th of January, based on the old religious calendar. 6th of January, also known as the Three Kings here in European countries, is the Christmas that we Armenians celebrate. So in essence, we don't celebrate the 25th. What else do we have? And there is some other things as well, right? Where Christianing is much more important within my side of the family and my culture, versus, even though he was raised Christian, like it has lesser of an importance. But in a way, we try to incorporate all of that. So one of the things we do, as an example, is the 25th, 26th, like the regular Christmas, we celebrate very Newfoundland style, with a turkey, with like very specific Newfoundland dishes maybe as well. And then we do the Armenian Christmas as well, with more Armenian dishes, rather than the turkeys, etc. Easter we celebrate quite big, but then we combine it with the Eastern egg hunt, which is more from, you could say like his culture in a way, because you don't have the Easter egg hunt in my culture. But what we do have is where we play with eggs. So when you color your eggs, a very specific Armenian tradition is to, play with someone else, break the egg, see whose egg will survive, in essence. Like, these are things that we try to incorporate, and so far it's been very easy. But I think that has also to do because we're very easygoing people, and it has not been difficult, to be honest. And it's, again, what's important for me, what's important for him, and just try to bring that together and create a certain synergy, and then give something to our kids that, looking towards the future, where we are like, we would like to give this to our kids as well, so that in the future they can take that and be like, I had this, and be proud of both of the cultures as well.
Yes, I can resonate because I have the same, right? I'm in a mixed marriage. From here, another friend from the Netherlands, she's with a Peruvian guy. She was just showing off her daughter, so pretty. Oh, there he is. You see? They also have like a mixed family, and it's so nice to see that we are able to do that, right? So we're able to bring different cultures, different languages, and still have a successful marriage. And it's just so nice to see you. See, look at her. Alicia's so pretty. Oh, I think they're having the afternoon snack.
Yeah.
All right, guys. And with this song, we see that it's time's up for us. It's the end of this meeting. Annie, I would like to thank you so much for doing this for us, taking time away from your children, from your busy life to share your experiences, your life, and your culture with us. Very thankful, and I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me and asking me to be part. It's been really great fun, so appreciate it.
Great.
Bye bye.
Guys, wishing you all lovely weekends, and I see you next Saturday. Thank you so much.
Bye
See
bye.
you
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.